everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Mayor Tyler Moore Show here on the Kokomo Post, partnered with Robert Miller and Son Furniture of Kokomo. My name is Drew Larison. This is MTM. Mr. Mayor, how are you?
I am super. How are you, Drew?
The best I've ever been.
I can tell.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that.
The sun's shining,
that is quite a
it's
statement.
warm on the face and warm in the heart. And
Oh my gosh,
it's a great
so
day in
nice
Kokomo.
out. So nice out. I walked down to Cook McDougal's for lunch and back today, and I'm like, yeah, more of this world.
Please.
You know?
Yeah, somebody had mentioned, and I don't know enough about them, what type of the cranes that are...
Like construction cranes?
No, the
birds?
Bird cranes. I forget what
There's nothing that
breed
starts
of
out a good show like bird talk.
bird talk.
Are they real?
The cranes are already migrating back north, and so spring's already here. According to two individuals. That,
Well, it must be true then.
Over the weekend.
It is supposed to be like 67 this week or something like that. Mm-hmm. Are we lame that, of course, we just start the conversation with weather? Of course we do. But I will say this.
We're like old men.
Yeah, it is.
It's like two old men.
But it's weather is real, and I understand it's such like a lazy, easy conversational thing. But also, it is one of the most relatable. Everybody has to deal with it. Mm-hmm. Like everyone has to experience the weather. So it is a good conversation point.
And nobody can truly, in my opinion, no one can truly predict it.
No.
I mean,
What a
that's why it's always
job.
conversation. Like, oh, I thought it was supposed to rain today. Yeah, my bunion was acting up. And yeah, so it's,
Gosh.
so you never
Who are
know.
you talking to?
Well, I told you not long ago that I watched this TikToker who is a person who is on the spectrum, and she talks all the time about like how to engage in conversation with neurotypicals. And she's like, man, if you are ever missing something to say to a neurotypical at work, just say just repeat what's happening on the weather. And
Yeah, and it works.
or just say like slowly and repeat it many times the day of the week that it is. Like, it's a Monday.
It's Monday.
It is Monday. It is Thursday. And
It's a Thursday.
and so since I watched that, I have seen I'm like keeping tally on how many times that happens in our office. So
It's real. It's really real. But anyway, so welcome to the show. It's going to be another good one today. I do want to start off once again by just thanking Robert Miller and Son for being the partner of this show. Mr. Mayor, how was your weekend? You said you had a pretty busy one.
I did have a busy one. It was jam-packed. I went out to the Knights of Columbus. They had their annual chili cook-off and had some great entries in that one. Didn't have to judge it this year, just got to go and enjoy it. So that leads up to a question. I think we've discussed this before, and I'm glad Bree is in here.
Oh, yeah, Bree's here.
So, hey.
Oh, you gotta have
So,
the mic on.
chili cook-off.
just really
At
sticking
least
on the job over here.
at least
yeah.
3 of the entries, and this was a concern of mine when I was judging last year, the 2 prior years. Chili cook-off. As soon as you add noodles, whether it's regular noodles or macaroni,
This is why it's good for Bree to be
does
here.
it stay chili or is it a goulash?
Bree almost got the company canceled one time.
She really did.
Because I think we talked about this last
I have
year,
the
but it was the
microphone
same
now.
It
thing
was
this
drama.
year.
It was drama.
Bree has tried to blame that nonsense on me for years now. I did not post that.
posted
We can go back and look at
Liar.
who posted that. But Bree posted a meme many years ago now that says that noodles belong in chili. And I don't think there's ever been a single piece of content that we have done, including giving away thousands and thousands of dollars of prizes, that has ever gotten people more excited or riled
almost
up
got
than
canceled.
noodles and chili.
Coco canceled.
Canceled is what she said.
So where do you stand on that?
It's
do you,
goulash.
oh, so you're not. It's not chili.
If you put macaroni in chili,
Or
and
any kind of noodle.
and I get that chili, has other fillers, the beans. Oh, she's scooting over. I am so in
gosh.
trouble, ladies and gentlemen. You didn't see the look that I just got shot from across the room, and she's
I got to
cracking her
stretch for
knuckles
this one.
and she's stretching.
Noodles belong in chili in the Midwest.
and that's fine. Then call it goulash. I mean,
It's not goulash. I hope my husband's not watching because he has strong feelings that noodles do not belong in chili.
Oh, it's
he
a split
also says
household.
goulash.
I don't.
Yes.
I don't mind if noodles go in chili, but then it becomes goulash.
No.
Yes.
No,
Sorry.
and it has to be like soup consistency. I don't like it when you could eat like the chili off of a plate, like it's so thick.
Wow, we just couldn't
So that
agree
becomes
less.
chili mac then, right? Would you say that if it's thick enough with the noodles, it becomes chili mac?
What's
Does
the
that-
difference between a chili mac, a chili with noodles, and just a bean chili? It's just.
Did I tell you guys how great the weather is today?
It is,
It's
yes.
so
It's
I
nice.
have a lot more things to
It's
say
Monday.
about
It's
noodles
Very
and
nice
chili.
weather. And it's supposed to be
It's
like
Monday.
67
So anyway.
on Thursday, I think.
Wait, I have one more thing about this, and then you guys can move on. You guys know this isn't a debate, right? Because you're fellow Hoosiers too. You have a peanut butter sandwich with your chili, right? Are you kidding?
My
No.
wife does, and my
No.
wife and I were in agreement with the goulash, but the peanut butter sandwich, she and I are at odds, and she gave me the what for as well because I had the
What?
same reaction. No,
You gotta give it a
I've-
little dippy dip.
See,
maybe with tomato soup, but not.
No, that's a
chili or
grilled cheese.
goulash.
That's a grilled cheese. To me, I'm not against it. I've just never had it. Like I didn't grow up in a
You
peanut butter
must.
sandwich with chili household.
Well, I hate to call
Yeah,
out
neither.
your mother, but what are you doing? What are you doing?
We were talking about statements like this earlier. So there's this new trend where all you have to do is say respectfully in front of
Respectfully?
something, and then you can just say whatever you want.
Respectfully.
This was kind of a version of that. You just
What was
said,
going
I don't
on in
need
your
to call out
household?"
your mother, but I'm about to call out your mother.
Well, I just had to ask that because my friends from California, they eat way different than Hoosiers do. And I got
Mama Donna is a saint.
she is
okay?
a saint, but I'm also adding her because where were the peanut butter sandwiches with the chili? But I
They
ask
were served at
because
two different meals.
Facts.
I ask because I got a DM a couple of weeks ago from my friends in California, and he said, "Is this true? Do you guys really do this?" Now this was in Chicago. They do cinnamon rolls with chili,
I've heard of that too.
which would probably be good.
It is weird.
But I said
weird.
no.
A little sweet and spicy.
We do peanut butter sandwiches, and he said you're disgusting.
Okay, I'm not a soup person in general, and I think I've said that publicly many times. So I am the kind of person that when I have chili, I make it as thick as dip. Like
Gross.
I put tons of like onion, cheese, sour cream, things like in it, where I could take a chip, a good hearty chip,
No.
and use it as dip because I don't like broth. I feel like I'm drinking my dinner. I'm not a fan of soup.
Well,
Just who I am.
Or if it's not thick enough, do you crumble up crackers?
Yeah, I can do that for sure.
I do that
Yeah.
too.
all right. I got to take these headphones off. This is enough.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, everybody, this is the Mayor
Coming to
Tyler
the
Moore
studio
Show.
today. So yeah, we were talking about the weekend. So on to Saturday, I had the pleasure of joining the Distinguished Young Women of Indiana in their state competition.
Oh, wow.
And 20 young professional women from across the state competed for the coveted title of Distinguished Young Woman of Indiana. And it was a great time, great event, incredible talent. And the city of Kokomo has played host to the annual the state competition for 12 years now. And so it was an honor to still continue that,
Love that.
tradition. And I thank the Morelands and the Matlocks and the Stevens and the entire DYW crew for, again, having it hosted in Kokomo. And they do an incredible job. And the scholarships that go towards these young women are amazing. And they end up becoming incredible leaders of our communities wherever they end up. Hopefully, a lot of them in Indiana. But yes, good time.
It's a cool program. I helped a couple years to coach some of the contestants.
Oh,
and
perfect.
through their interview portion, and respectfully,
Easy. Hold on. Warning, something not respectful is about to be said.
no. And I was very honest with them. Like I sort of saw that as a pageant. I wasn't really I didn't know. I wasn't very educated about what it was. And I sort of did it as a favor. And I was really blown away by sort of all of those young women and what they were hoping to do and become, what they wanted to learn. They really leaned into like learning how to communicate well, how to.
And I think that's where, I mean, you're right. I think at the time, because it used to be junior miss and then transitioned into distinguished young women. And I think that was part of the impetus of that, was that it was given the impression that it was more pageantry type of things, and they changed some of the competitions and focused on talent and their answers to life questions. That is
like
part of
big
that as well.
questions to be asking kids who are teenagers. I think the year I did it was the year, or I did it for a few years, but that year that Arian Morrison went on and did really well. And
She ended up being the national. She won the national Distinguished Young Women. So
and then went off to Harvard. Amazing kid.
Yep.
Good
Bree,
stuff.
were you in that competition when you were a kid?
Absolutely.
You were a distinguished young woman?
She was a distinguished young woman, just maybe not in that particular competition.
Okay.
to you, she said.
Don't know what that means. That's cool. We went to the Kokomo Anderson game on Friday night.
Oh,
And
exciting. Yep.
Dear me, that was the most intense like high school athletic event I've ever been to. It was a packed house, quite literally sold out.
And I wish that would have
There
been at the
were-
Wigwam. Man,
Oh,
I wish it
know.
would have been at the Wigwam.
I know, and like
I hate that they
I don't know. I've explained this kind of too. I'm really learning all about like Kokomo high school sports. I grew up a Northwestern kid, so I'm really learning about the NCC conference a lot and like the Wildcat traditions because I was Northwestern kindergarten through senior year, and I didn't know about the Wigwam until I was sitting in the media bench because we've been like live tweeting the games, creating a lot of content for a lot of Kokomo games. And somebody next to me said, "How many does this place hold?" And so I Google Anderson High School gym, you know, and it said like 8,000. I'm like, I don't think that's the gym we're in. So I learned the history of the Wigwam. So now they play in the teepee, which was kind of funny. That's what they've named it now, which is a smaller gym. But I swear there were like 100 people standing room only at that gym on Friday night. It was crazy. And Kokomo got the win, NCC champs. So that's cool to see. Yeah, pretty chill weekend outside of that. What's going on at City Hall?
A lot of continued planning for spring projects. We sat down and started prioritizing. I think I mentioned this last week too. We're looking at street and road projects, getting a little closer to prioritizing those and seeing from what buckets we pay for which projects and such. So still focusing on that, still laying the groundwork or assisting suppliers and developers that want located in and around the battery plant for what they have in mind, and also getting discussions and packages and ideas together for housing incentives as well to try and get some developers to get up all kinds of different housing, whatever they're willing. It would be great to get some multifamily, first, some single family residents as well, but realizing that we're way behind, and what we're going to need to fulfill. And so working feverishly.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because that's a big issue, housing in general. So yeah, a lot of people have been asking about that. Speaking of kind of housing, so there's been an update on the downtown hotel and conference center.
Okay,
The
yes.
plans are officially approved, right, by the planning council. And is that the city council too, or is that a separate
No,
thing?
that's just planning.
That's just
planning commission.
Okay.
Yeah.
Planning commission. Yeah. So tell us what are next steps on that, as well as just kind of have a conversation. I was going through the Tribune, posted the article, and I was just kind of going through their comments, which at this point I should have learned just not to do that because I just end in frustration. But where are we at now with that project? What are next steps? What can we, like the next time we talk about this, what are some expectations for us?
So the developer now starts tightening up the plans because then they'll put those out to bid soon. But a lot of that is playing the waiting game as well, looking at the interest rates, because a lot of what will determine the costs is what will also help determine the financing that they will need and the gaps that will get filled by the alliance or the city, county, and alliance coming together. But again, what a lot of folks are forgetting as well, that a lot of what the city and the alliance are putting toward the project is on the convention center side of that. So although it's one large, it's actually two structures
with a walking bridge,
with a
right?
walk bridge,
Yeah.
on the second floor, and that walking bridge actually will house the, as the plans stand now, the alliance offices. So the Convention Visitors Bureau, probably the chamber again, bring them back downtown. So their office is there. But then, so the incentives, the funds that are being dedicated to the project. For the development is going towards the convention center side of that. The developer who's constructing both, so it's as if we're working with a developer on the convention center. He's like, hey, great, then I'll just put the hotel up at the same time. So that's the design behind that. And so there are those that say, well, you're putting it towards the convention center, which goes towards some of his costs into. So so you're actually funding the hotel and can be. The the city, nor the county will have any ownership in the convention center or the hotel at all. The Alliance will have ownership over the convention center and manage that. Then the developer will still have the private ownership on the hotel. And so, so some of the incentives that are provided with that go towards the overall costs involved, since he's doing the project concurrently.
Sure. So that's the big thing to me, like understanding what private investment is and then what the city is investing in as well. Because the city is not getting into the hotel business.
No.
And like...
and the city's not getting into the convention center.
The convention center business, yeah.
So it was just like back in the day, when I first was elected commissioner, the county government still owned the convention center out on 31, now 931.
Yeah.
The Johanning, right?
The Johanning, yes, the Johanning
Back
Civic
in the day.
Center. And then because of the management of it and the taxpayer funds that were going into it, that's when we opted to get out of the convention center business and made the deal with Ivy Tech, being close proximity to their campus, and brokered the deal with that and allowed them to take it over because they had talked about expanding and
Sure.
programs and such.
that building's been through a lot in the last 10 years. Yeah, it's been a lot of changes.
So kind of the same way. I mean, neither the city nor the county are getting the convention center business. It'll be the Alliance, which makes sense. So it's the umbrella group that houses the Convention and Visitors Bureau. I mean, that brings events in and such. And so, I mean, it's not any different than a lot of the conference centers or convention centers in larger communities. I mean, we were talking about Muncie earlier. Muncie, is owned by the public group. I think Fort Wayne's is as well. And so a lot of the major cities, they're either city, county, or an economic development or chamber group, owns the conference center. And so it'll be similar to that. It'll just happen to be attached to a hotel.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's exciting to me. I saw in the article as well, there's going to be like a pool. This hotel will have like a nice little pool. So Bria, I don't know. I was thinking about this earlier, like how cool we could do like a staycation package, for this, when like this opens up, like a downtown Kokomo staycation giveaway. Cause it's supposed to have like a bar, a pool I saw like in the hotel. And what type of events maybe can we expect this convention center to be used for? Cause I think that's a big question in the public eye too, is like, why?
Sure.
I'm involved, or I go to certain, events in like bigger cities or even smaller cities. So I have, I don't know, just more back knowledge of like why this is a good idea and why this is useful. But give some examples for people, like why is this convention center needed? I understand the basement is going to be the Automotive Heritage Museum, correct?
Yes.
But what is this convention center for?
And really that space can be used as an additional event space. So people, when they have, icebreaker, events at the beginning of their conferences and such, may want to have the dinner down in that area.
Sure.
So ideally it is to encourage or try to lure associations that have annual conventions or conferences to use the facility to come to Kokomo for that reason. It's even for educational purposes. If there's, the State Recorders Association that has, a 3-day workshop, I mean, Kokomo can house that. So any organization that has conferences that are multi-day, that's the idea.
Because you use the hotel and the convention center.
And, and ensure, to fill gaps and such. I mean, it could be made available for larger wedding venues or class reunions, or even the park band. I mean, if they get rained out and aren't able to use the Kokomo High School or Hayden's Auditorium, it's another even though it's not auditorium type of theater seating. I mean, it can still be set up to allow performances in there. We could have one of the summer concert series. In
well,
there,
I saw a comment was from the Coliseum Combat guys, which
Mark
is
Slater and
crazy
that team.
cool thing that happens all the time in Kokomo. One of those underrated it's a cool thing in Kokomo. They're like, could this be a permanent home? Could we use this a lot?
Comic-Con.
Comic-Con could use that.
Yeah, the Kokomo Con.
A lot of different purposes. And like everything I've seen, Indy is one of the best convention center cities in the world. It is one of the most booked. So many people use Indianapolis for their conventions, mainly because of kind of like it's central in the Midwest, which is why the Big Ten uses Lucas Oil for the Big Ten championship games. It's kind of in the middle of the Midwest, but also it's so walkable. And they love that because there's so many hotels downtown close to the convention center. There's restaurants, there's Lucas Oil, there is Victory Field, the new Indy 11 stadium that they're building, which looks unbelievable. Check that out on the Kokomo Post Sports if you haven't seen it. But there's so many things walkable down there. Kokomo's got that, like Kokomo kind of did this chicken before the egg situation where I don't know, do you start with a hotel in downtown convention center or do you build the downtown first?
Build the quality of place amenities and then
exactly. So I mean, I've been in a city where the opposite happened. I was in, I think, Evansville, and they had like this beautiful downtown hotel, gorgeous place. I stayed there for a work trip, just like a one night thing, had a client down there. And I was walking around the lobby. I'm like, oh, let's go explore. Because we got there the night before the meeting. And I walked and like, there was nowhere to go downtown.
Sure.
So I'm like, oh, what's the purpose of this gorgeous downtown hotel if I can't easily get to places? Kokomo's done it right. And I think there's a lot of why I mentioned Indianapolis. They've got the gamut in places like Las Vegas, Indianapolis. The big cities have the gamut on the big conventions, like the thousands and thousands of people coming to a convention center. But there's this sweet spot of like middle to small size conventions. And there's a big need for those type of events. And in the Midwest, there's not a lot of it. So Kokomo, build up this downtown area. If they're in there here for the summer, go check out a Jackrabbits game. Go check out Bobcats game at Memorial Gym. Walk downtown to Foster Park. See a concert going on. Like we've got this crazy cool area. Perfect for a convention center. So I'm really excited about it. And I know there's a lot of confusion if it's needed. Folks, try to book a hotel in Kokomo on the south end on 931. They're booked. Like these hotels are being used. And I know it's weird as a person that lives here to think like, my goodness, why would someone use a hotel in Kokomo? It's happening. Like people use these hotels. And honestly, if I were from out of town and I had to choose something on South 931, or I could be in a downtown cool district, walkable to a bunch of different stuff local, I'm choosing the downtown hotel. So it's cool to me. It's a cool thing and I'm excited for it. We're waiting for that box of dirt. It's going to be great when we get that box of dirt to come in. I don't know. I think it's a really cool thing that I'm excited about.
Us too.
Just put that on a commercial. My little rant there. No. Okay.
Did we record that?
Fired.
We did.
This is recorded. Yeah.
It is recorded.
No, it's a cool thing. I think it's really
Sound
cool.
bites. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, we do have some questions coming in for the Ask the Mayor segment. Partner with Lexi's Drink Barn. So if you have any of those, leave those down below. And before we get to that, I do want to talk about one more thing. And this was another like drama-filled story on the internet this week, surviving or revolving around Kokomo. And it's commonly being known as Buggate. Have you heard of this?
No.
So apparently in one of the schools, in Kokomo Center schools, they did a little activity with children.
Pettit Park, the fourth graders.
There it is.
Introduced to
So
bugs.
you just didn't know the slang, the internet slang.
Yeah, I didn't know there was.
So like a lot of people on the internet were kind of freaking out, like, what is going on? Why are we feeding our kids bugs? This is the liberal media telling us to do alternate sources of protein. My kids are doing this. Bill Gates got brought into it a lot. Apparently he's the center of this. What's going on with Buggate? It sounds like you know what I'm talking about.
No, I just saw the article. I mean that it's introducing kids to a fun way of science.
Eating bugs. Sounds like you had something to say.
Just tell me you didn't eat bugs as a kid, but no, they say that
Bree ate bugs. Explains a lot.
Maybe. Ouch.
So they were actually, so it was actual bugs. They were actually eating bugs?
Well, I mean, not like alive ones. They weren't like Timon and Pumbaa going up here trying to.
We've got dog treats with the cricket protein in them for our
lots
dogs.
of protein.
Like they honestly say that like that form of protein is climbing on the rise.
Well, it's sustainable.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, so I don't know. Got anything to say about Buggate?
I don't know enough about Buggate to have a comment, but I think it's a great teaching opportunity, and I'm confident that there was enough research done that
100%.
anything that the kids may have ingested were not hazardous to their health.
Oh my! So our friends at the Coterie are in the live chat for the show, and they said Brie eats bugs 100% Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna
Little lion
Matata.
phrase. That's a Disney movie. I know you don't watch a lot of Disney movies.
Let me just grab this microphone. It's true. I did eat bugs. And this is why I was also a little shook by this article and the comments in it, is because this has been happening at Western since I was a child.
So like
raised-
decades ago.
Decades ago. I'm old. Look at me. They did this when I was in the 4th grade, and we raised mealworms, and we learned about the protein, and then we ate them. We even added a little razzle dazzle with our favorite seasonings. And you know what? They were good.
Wow.
Tastes
There
like
you go.
potato chips. So yes, Coterie/Kyle, I do eat bugs.
Well, I don't want to make the assumption it's Kyle.
It's right.
But you know.
I would make that assumption.
Sounds like
Yeah, I don't
it
know.
might be a good way to help him out in the next burger challenge.
Oh my
Get
gosh.
There
some
it is.
meal bugs on.
Bugs in town.
Can we do a
Bug burger?
fifth best
burger.
fifth
Fifth
best,
best
bugs in
bug
town?
burger in town, right there.
Gosh. Next time we do a chopped competition video at the Coterie, they have to cook some bugs
gotta
into
have
it.
crickets.
I don't know. It was classic internet to me. It got like really big
Oh.
conspiracy theory real quick that like somehow Bill Gates is involved in Kokomo Center schools telling our kids to eat bugs because he's against beef. I don't know. It got crazy. It got crazy.
It got crazy. Buggate.
Buggate 2023. All right, so let's get into the Ask the Mayor segment. This is the part where you get your shot, Kokomo. If you have any questions for the mayor, just leave them in the chat below. Like I said, we've got a few of them queued up for the show today. So leave a chat or leave a comment in the chat, and yeah, we'll get to it. The first one, let's talk about. Sorry, it's partnered with Lexi's Drink Barn.
Yes.
Shout out Lexi's, the best place to get a fountain drink in Kokomo. Sorry, I'm getting a bunch of texts. The best place in Kokomo to get a fountain Coke, if you're a fountain Coke lover, which if you're a Kokomoan, you are a fountain Coke lover. It's kind of, what we do really well here. Go to Lexi's. Really great place. Go check them out. They got 2 locations in Kokomo. One on North Washington and one on Markland. Go check them out. First question is from Pam on Facebook. Why are so many businesses lowering their signage on 931?
About 6 years ago, 7 years ago, a city ordinance was passed by the previous administration in the hopes of, and it was after the 31 bypass was up and running, to make 931 more aesthetically pleasing. And in a lot of communities, they are dropping their signs down to 8 feet or lower. And so, to make not necessarily that corridor more pedestrian friendly, but just more, again, aesthetically pleasing to kind of spruce it up a little bit. It's to get the clutter down. I know there was a report, I think at the end of last week, about the ongoing suit that the city had with Burkhart Signs, the billboards, and a number of those being brought down as well. And so there was an effort a few years back to get some of the clutter up in the air down, and again to work on the on making 931 corridor more aesthetically pleasing. We're working with NDOT as well. We're hoping that a project that they had on the shelf to remove the guardrails down through there, we've encouraged them and finding ways to bring that to a higher priority to again work on that, and then continuing to work with them on some of the intersections and such through there. So again, just making it a little more pleasing to pass through there. And again, just so it's the results of a years-long time frame that was given as part of the overlay district to drop those signs. I mean, it was supposed to expire the end of 20 or 21.
Yeah, I thought it was 2020, but
21.
no, I could
And then again with the pandemic, and we opted to extend them a couple of years again because there are costs involved with them dropping that. So 23 that. January 1st of 23 was when they were supposed to be down. There's still a few that are working through that, and but yep, that's why they're all coming down.
Gotcha.
I got to say, as somebody with no skin in the game, it's not like I have to fund a new sign, so I'm sure there's many more intricacies to it, but I think they look lovely. Like it looks
is, yeah.
really nice along there.
It really is. And
I'm sure it was like there's hardship and there's cost and there's things like that involved. So I wouldn't even.
And a lot of those businesses that are corporate or national in nature, you think would have more pushback, really didn't, because they see that they're being required to do it
Sure.
in other communities as well. So like, okay, yep, we'll just play the game and go ahead and bring it down. So
Wasn't a part of it too, since 931 exists now, and now there's like a 31. We built a bypass for a bypass,
Yeah.
basically. The goal is to get 931 to feel more just like a normal road now. So like to help, because large, tall signs, those are normal on like highways
Right.
and things like that.
Now,
and when
yeah.
31 was created, new 31, wasn't there some sort of rule too where no businesses were allowed to be built
there was
on that?
there
for
was a
certain
moratorium.
years, or-
Yeah, so there's as part of the overlay district. So they did end up passing. I mean, there was the moratorium, and then they passed the overlay district that prohibits certain businesses or industries from developing along the 31 corridor, along the interchange.
How long was that? Or is that just forever?
It's now in the overlay district, so now it's forever unless
Wow.
we would change that or
Sure.
allow more variances through the zoning appeals.
Gotcha. Okay. Next question on Facebook is from Angela, and this is really direct. So
Okay.
just prepare yourself.
All right.
Respectfully.
No,
no.
I'm not doing that.
Okay.
When are you going to fix our roads? Kokomo's roads are awful.
Oh,
I warned you. That was my
That was
version of
direct.
respectfully.
yes.
So
Setting expectations.
we're in the process, and I talked about that as kind of what we're going through. So each year we've got certain buckets of money, whether it's federal money, whether it's community development block grants. So we have a limited amount of funds to work with, and actually really a limited amount of time and resources as well. And so prioritizing those. So if she's got specific roads in particular that need addressed, she's welcome to email us and see where
Yeah.
they may be on the list. But each year, the roads go through an assessment. We send folks out and a little scoring checklist, if you will, and then they're prioritized based on not just only the wear and tear, but the amount of traffic and location and the last time it may have received some attention, and then those are prioritized. And so we'll end up laying anywhere between 6,000 and 9,000 tons of asphalt. And unfortunately, the asphalt plant doesn't open until April, and then it closes just before November. A lot of that based on weather, and so. Even though it's beautiful outside today, we've got crews out, filling potholes, and that's, of course, just Band-Aids, but we'd love to be able to do more with what we've got. But again, based on limited time and resources, we can only do so much. And we're going to make a more concerted effort this year, actually, to address a handful of the alleys that are in the northeast side.
Secondary, yeah.
Or
tertiary? Is that the term?
Tertiary word?
Love that word.
Tertiary streets.
Love that word.
That have been neglected, again, to focus on the roads. So yes, this time of year, because the freeze, thaw, a lot of them do crack and or end up in a little worse shape than
It's darker before the
would be.
dawn.
So, yeah, we're going to do our best to get to as many as we can, but having about 97 miles worth of streets to address, and that doesn't include the alleyways, then we try to get to as much as we can in the time allotted.
Were you impressed with me remembering the word tertiary?
Tertiary, I was, yes.
I've learned some things on this show. I'm really proud of that. Okay. So Angela, like I said, maybe if there are specific roads, you're referencing, make sure to just call him up or write him an email. Or I wish you were. I'm not sure if you're still watching, but if you get
Or
more
if it's
specific,
just in
that'd be
general,
great.
I mean, I get that you're on something and it's a little
it's the rough
bumpy
season
and
of
such.
streets too.
Yeah,
It's just
but
the Midwest.
it appears that they're all in crappy shape. But
All right. So next
working
question
on
is from the Coterie on Facebook, which we have learned is Kyle. He did confirm.
It's true.
Okay.
I didn't want to
Afternoon,
assume,
Kyle.
The Coterie is a brand. So, okay. Is there a budget to build a Mayor McCheese statue downtown in front of the Coterie? Valid question.
Absolutely.
We could probably try and find something. If there's a rendering that we could maybe do inexpensively and get McDonald's to
The copyright would be the
right
issue.
off the copy.
Yeah. I mean, the also issue is like, do you really want to invest something like that for the 5th best burger in Kokomo? You know, or is there other places where it makes more sense? Oh, come on. If he's allowed to say it all the time, so am I. Come on. You know, he opens up the playbook. It's a joke, which I don't know. Maybe we'll do another burger throwdown this
So
year.
would
We'll
it
see.
be so then would it be a statue of Mr. Gibson with the Mayor McCheese?
Is he Mayor McCheese?
on?
Oh,
Yeah,
that'd be funny. Kyle, leave a comment if that's what you're looking for.
If that's what you
He has a more serious. I think this is serious, and I'm really into this, and
I
would
also
love
think it's
to
serious.
maybe have a conversation about this. He says,
We've had a preemptive conversation.
okay,
about
this has been a thing before.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we get verbal confirmation that the Taste of Kokomo, sponsored by the Kokomo Post, will happen in 2024? So this used to be an event,
2024,
right?
right.
They don't
On-
do this anymore.
on the square.
It was United Way.
It was a
event,
United Way
right?
fundraiser.
Well, it was at the park, I think, a few times too, before it like fully ended.
It may have.
Maybe
It
it's
was
right
on.
at the
move it-
When
one
I
of those that
remember
got
when I
moved.
covered it, it was on the square, and it was big, and it was
It's a big deal.
Yeah, it was.
I still
very
think
labor
It
intensive.
was labor. I was going to say it's labor intensive for the United Way volunteers because it was one of those
Yeah.
that you wanted everybody in, but blocking it off and only having certain entry
Yeah.
spots
Yep.
to buy the tickets
Kyle,
and such.
I'll push back because I've had this dream for years, and I think it's really possible. And I think it'd be so. Kyle and the Coterie, they host Brews on Buckeye,
Buckeye.
which we kind of talked about last week. It's one of literally the largest beer events in the whole state. It's becoming Midwest known. It's grown every year. It's a great thing. I think we should double down on this and not just Taste of Kokomo. I think Kokomo needs to host a breaded tenderloin fest where we invite some of the most famous and most loved tenderloin restaurants in the entire state of Indiana to Kokomo for a weekend, and somebody can walk around and try them all.
I like it.
How fun would that be?
That would be
And
fun.
this hotel and conference center could play a role. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, that sounds fun to me. But Kyle, I'm interested in the conversation.
Let's talk, man.
I think we should talk about it. I'm not going to say yes, as you said in the comments, but I'm into it. But I really think a tenderloin, double down on like, that's the Hoosier food. Mm-hmm. And no one does this, a tenderloin fest.
Tenderloin Fest. I
You'd
like
support
it.
it?
I'd support it.
City's in, done. It's going to happen.
This is it.
Tenderloin Fest.
Can I tell you that, like, maybe we've talked about this on the show before. When Drew and I were first dating many years ago, he said we should have a Tenderloin Festival. And he said the words like, how hard could it be? Having been an event organizer and like maybe a little bit more seasoned than he was at the time, I was like, that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard. It is very hard, and no, it's not just a like
The festival
slap up.
idea wasn't the stupidest thing you've ever heard. My assumption that how hard it could be.
Yeah,
was the
your
stupidest
assumption of
idea.
like
Yes.
throw up some tables
There you
and
go.
like feed people some tenderloins was I'll just say naive. Respectfully, I'll say it was
Respectfully.
There it is again.
It's a great idea. So every time you bring up this idea, I really think it is just you trying to win an argument from like 13 years ago.
No, I think that could be so much fun. I think the Midwest would support it. I think you have every year like the biggest tenderloin award, where like somebody not only like you get like the tastiest,
Yep.
you also like who can make the largest pork tenderloin and have like judges. I think it could be really fun, and you make it an annual thing only in Kokomo, Indiana. Invite everybody around the state. I think it'd be fun.
Isn't there
Okay.
they're Frankfurt? Don't they have like a hot dog fest or something? Right?
Makes sense.
Hot dog
I mean, it's
festival.
already
That makes
in the
sense
past.
for them.
Tipton has the
Yeah.
pork festival, so I don't know if
the pork festival.
but it's just pulled pork and stuff. So
It's meant
I'm
to
sure
be.
they
Pork
may
chop on a
have-
stick out there. That's
yeah.
what they do.
I think it'd be really fun.
Okay.
Oh, Kyle says, love me tenderloin fest. We get Elvis impersonators and tenderloins.
Oh man.
See, I'm telling you, it needs to happen.
That's like
There you
the
go.
Okay.
event stage is the Love Me Tenderloin.
I love it.
I'm into it.
I love it
I'm
so
into
much.
it. Let's talk.
I think it'd be so much fun.
Let's have lunch
And just like
next week.
You know, you got to do that when there's like silly things you're known for or little quirks about like your hometown or like your state. Double down on them.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion of it. Double down on them. Make little self-deprecating humor about it, and just move on and have a good time. That's my opinion.
Well,
all right.
with Bugscape, we've got a praying mantis at the gateway of
Oh
our.
my
We ought to
gosh.
have a Bug Fest.
Bug Fest, where all the best culinary bug and innovators will come.
Oh, my.
Yeah, the people love that. Get ready, Facebook, for the comments on that one. All right, so Kyle, we'll talk about Taste of Kokomo. We'll talk about Tenderloin Fest, Love Me Tenderloin Fest with
McCheese
Elvis and
statue.
your statue of McCheese. They're in the works. How about that? All right, next question is from Steve on Facebook, and it's actually a serious one. So a little turn of events here. Any plans for sidewalks on Goyer from Meyer to Boulevard? There's a lot of foot traffic from the apartments and the new housing.
Yes.
Yes.
Not this year, potentially next. If not next, then by 25.
Do the trolleys go
So
out there
24 or
too?
25. I don't believe.
I know it'd be a short ride, but
I
if
don't
there's no
believe they
sidewalks.
go. I don't believe they go up and down Goyer. Now they
Okay.
work their way into Meyer and Walmart and back out. I don't think we don't have a trolley stop in Boulevard Crossing. They're by Kohl's and
Okay.
so. There's not currently anyway a route that runs north and south along Goyer, but we're running an assessment of our
Because there is a new housing area,
yeah.
neighborhood type of thing up there.
to see the activity at stops and where we're getting requests for others. And so to say that there will never be a route along Goyer Road would be disingenuous. I mean, there could be as things continue to expand, but yes, there are plans in the work for sidewalks along Goyer Road from Boulevard to Markland. Again, if not next year, then by 25. Again, it's the whole, planning the projects and looking at federal funding because we'd be using FTA funds. And so you plan, design, bid out. And so it could be a 2-year process. So
Gotcha.
coming.
Sounds good. Awesome. Any questions in the room for the mayor?
I do have a question. What would need to happen to restart the perpendicular signage program that the city used to have? There was a signage like a 50-50 or a
For
60-40
downtown?
for downtown businesses
remember
who had like hanging signs that were perpendicular from their building.
I don't know. I have to look into it.
I don't know. I thought it was
see.
great. And there have been so many new businesses that have come downtown.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking specifically Pizza Co. Is beautiful and also needs some signage, which led me to
Mm-hmm.
think like, man, I bet those are really expensive.
They can be. The install of them too.
Yeah. And I remember this could be longer.
Yeah,
This was probably maybe even before your time as commissioner. But I know that the city had a program and a lot of the businesses took advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
This may have been back like early to mid 2000s.
Yeah, the goal was the hanging perpendicular. So like if you're walking down Sycamore, you could see everyone
Yeah,
like in
yeah.
front of you. You see signs like hanging, so you know where what is what. Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes
Yeah, I'll
it
have to
easier.
check,
More
yeah.
of a district too.
Surely that was funded by some kind of grant. I would assume. Just
I know
curious what
early
that
on
would take to start
when I was
again.
commissioner, we had a downtown assistance grant to kind of partner or springboard off of what the city administration had done, and part of that was grants up to $5,000 from county government for downtown businesses.
The rent abatement, I remember.
That's
that.
what- yeah,
that's the rent
rent
abatement. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Now there's not a
I'll
lot of
look
empty
into it.
spots downtown.
Yeah.
So that must have worked.
Yeah.
Okay, Bree, you got
good
anything?
question. We'll look into it.
All like eyes clears. Your heart is full. Huh?
Bugfest 2023.
Bugfest.
Bugfest.
2023.
I'm more
Heard.
interested in Tenderloin Fest, but
Love Me Tender. I like that.
with Elvis impersonators walking around.
into it.
Tell me that just wouldn't make every travel magazine for like
So fun.
like literally a Tenderloin Fest with Elvis impersonators. I think it's brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
It's quirky enough. It just makes sense.
Because we've
love
talked about
it.
this before. You get outside of Indiana and people are like, tender what?
I know.
Yeah,
That's
we
a
got to educate 'em.
sandwich? What?
We got to educate them.
Yep.
We got to do it.
Yeah.
If not
All right.
us, then-
Well, thanks for watching this episode of the Mayor Tyler Moore Show here on the Kokomo Post. Mr. Mayor, do you have a dad joke for us?
Well, obviously today is President's Day, and I know it's, even though the kids are out of school, appreciate you guys being in. And
Oh, yeah.
still doing. But
I don't know where my kids are.
But can
Yeah,
you imagine? I mean, President Washington, the first father of our country. Do you know what he would be if he was alive today?
A resident of a nursing home?
Extremely
yeah, he'd
old.
be really old. Yeah.
Is that the punchline?
Yeah. I know it was a bad one.
That's
Sorry.
good. I like that one a lot.
Really old.
He'd just be really old. He'd be an old man. That was the joke. So thanks for watching
Sorry,
this
Bree.
episode.
We brought her into the studio for that. Sorry.
Fine. You can't win them all, but I like
Aaron,
it.
do you have a better one?
I don't. How could I top that? No, I don't. That was great.
Well, if you have a great dad joke, leave it in the chat below. And if not, we will
Because
see
this
you
one
next
wasn't.
week for the Mayor Tyler Moore Show here on the Kokomo Post, partner with Robert Miller and Son Furniture. Like I said, we do this every week. So if you have a question for the mayor, just leave it in the chat. I'll go back to previous video to make sure I don't miss anything. Had one video or one of the questions today was from last week's video. So I go back and check them. If not, you can find a way to get a hold of us. And have a great week, Kokomo. We'll see you next time.
See you, Kokomo.